Hey, what's up? My name is Gazbot. I am an artist and a toy collector, and I've spent years going to conventions, and I've made many videos about them, but I haven't done a convention in a couple years. I haven't done any convention in at least 2 years, about 2 years, and previous to that, I think I only did one or two, whereas previously I did a lot more. I am now jumping back into it. Combination of COVID, having a child, and a few other things, moving, has kept me from really doing a convention, so I'm sort of getting back on the horse, jumping back in, and this is a video about that. So if you haven't done a convention for a while, this might be helpful. If you've never done a convention before, this might be helpful. If you're bored, this might be helpful. Anyway, let's go. The first thing I did was find a semi-local convention. It's about an hour and a half away. That is a one-day show because I can't speak for everyone. Everyone's different. The way everyone does things is different. But in my household, we have a child who is 3.5, 3 3/4 years old, and leaving the other parent alone with the child for a full day is a big ask. Doing it for 3 days is almost like, forget it, get out of here. So I figured the best way is to find a one-day show. My hope was that I could get up with the kid, go do the show, come home, put him to bed, and, but that's not going to happen because the show starts at 9, which means the latest I could be there is 8. That gives me like an hour to run in and set up. And because I've done this before, I think I can do it. I would like to have more time, but I can technically do it if I get there by 8, which means barring traffic, I need to leave about an hour and a half before then. So I need to leave 6:30, which means I need to get up at 6, which is earlier than I even normally get up with a kid. So I'm going to get up extra early, go there. Then the show gets done at 5. If it takes me an hour to get to my car, break down, get to my car, 6. Then an hour and a half to get home, 7:30. The kid will already be in bed. So I will be gone all day. Now, I asked my mother, luckily lives nearby now, and is going to help my wife with some of that. But that means this is a Sunday show. That means Saturday, I'm going to wake up and watch the kid all day until sleep. Which is, again, normally we split it up or share. And, so we're both I'm going to have a really hard Saturday and then go to this convention. And that's my weekend. So I will not have a restful weekend. And neither will my wife. Well, no, actually, because on Saturday, she can do whatever she wants. And it's unlikely she's going to be doing a convention. So anyway, the first thing I had to do was figure out the timing, talk to my family, and figure out that part of it. A lot of you don't have to deal with that. Awesome. But you still should figure out how long it's going to take you to get there, set up, breakdown, and factor all that stuff in. And also there's stuff like, I think the show, I'm going to be getting my hours wrong. This is ROBO Toy Fest, by the way, 2023 in Pasadena, Southern California. And sometimes the show will say it starts at like 10, but there's an early bird at 9. So that means you have to be ready by 9. Sometimes if you're close enough, they'll let you set up the night before, which is my preferred method, because then you're not rushing in the morning, but I don't have that option now.
Hi, I'm Gazbot. It's Monday, and I'm doing my first convention Sunday. Well, not my first convention. Hi, I'm Gazbot, and I haven't done a convention in close to 2 years. I'm going to be doing my first one. What's with the voice? I'm going to be doing my first one this Sunday. So while I should be working on my comic and various other things, I realize I should start thinking about it now. So this video, the theme of this video is doing a con when you haven't done one in a long time, and or doing a con for the first time. Interestingly, I'm going to be selling art, but I will also be selling some toys at this convention. I used to do this a lot at the San Jose Toy Show, and I haven't been able to sell toys at a toy show for a long time, and I do eBay, but it takes a long time, and some things are so big that it's not worth the $50 it costs to ship them and trouble either for me or for the buyer. So what I'm going to basically split the table in half and do half art, with the backdrop being all art, and then most of the table and in front of the table will be toys. And I'm going to try to bring maybe some comics. I'm going to try to bring big things that are hard to ship or specialty things that I think will sell at this show. So, yeah.
The garage.
I'm in an interesting position, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been in this position, but I kind of had it down to a science. I'm not saying I made tons of money at every convention I did, but I knew how to get ready. I knew what I needed. I knew what I could fit in the car. I knew, how long it would take me. And I did get to the point where even if I didn't make tons of money, I was always coming home with more than I went there with. But now it's been a couple years. Setups tend to change. Crowds tend to change. So there's a little uncertainty there. I've never done this show. I haven't done a lot of shows. I'm in Southern California now. It's like a different vibe. I've done a few, but as an out-of-towner. And this is my garage. Where I live now, it's a much bigger area. It's still a mess. So weirdly, even though I had a smaller area before, my art area at least was a lot more clean. Now, some of it with my prints and stuff I have in my office, but if you look over here, Like that's one of my displays, and over there is one of the tripods. So I kind of have to refine where everything is, pack it, decide what I need, and then things might be broken. There might be it's kind of, I'm not starting from zero, but I'm definitely going back a few steps. So I'm not expecting to do amazing this show. I'm seeing this show as getting back on the horse, jumping back in the water, whatever you want to say. And I'm going to, the first thing I did actually was I had put a print order in not too long ago and got a bunch of prints. It didn't sell very well at all, but that's fine. And then I had 2 new pieces of art that I wasn't planning on making prints of yet. They were like, well, eventually maybe I'll make, one of them I wasn't even planning on making a print of, and the other one I was like, well, as long as I have it done for the Ultraman show in a few months. But I like to get my art queued up and do the prints all at once because it's cheaper. But I also know that when I go to shows, whether I do well or not, I feel better if I have the more new art I have. And so I was like, okay, well, if I make these, that'll excite me about the show. But I decided this like a week and a half ago. And so I print through Cat Print, and I paid extra for the express shipping, which is kind of dumb for 2 prints, express shipping. And I don't expect them to sell like crazy. And now, because of the way I've done it, I ordered 30 prints total, 15 of each. I need to sell 6 or 7 to break even on that. Now, I don't necessarily think I'm going to sell 6 or 7 at the show, but just like $60 or $70 to cover the cost of those prints. So as long as I make more than that at the show, profit-wise, I won't worry about it. I don't worry about the profit on this specific one being made by these specific prints. That's not how I think about it. But it would have been like half that if I had planned better. But I wanted to have them at the show, and that's what I did. So that was the first step after buying the table, of course. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So as you can see here, I have tons and tons of stuff on the floor. I moved a couple of years, well, a little less than 2 years ago. You would think everything would be set up, but it isn't. I'm a huge toy collector, and I got a bunch of new displays in my office, which is great. But I also have a lot of toys that I need to sell and move around and stuff. And so I've been doing eBay. You can see the boxes over there. But a lot of this, there's just so much of it that it's hard to spend the time doing the eBay. And some things are maybe small, like that little Dougram figure. I don't know what that's worth. Let's say it's worth $10. It could take me, 10, 15 minutes to just get that set up, and then another 5 to mail it. And it starts to be like a half hour to make $15, which isn't the end of the world, but I have other things that my time would be better spent on. But if I take it to a show, I can sell it for $5, $10, $15, and it's just out, gone like that. Other things, I have these Voltron lions. Well, I'm missing the sword. I have to find the sword. But I have those Voltron lions, and I have some lightsabers and other big items. So those are worth taking to the show, as I was saying before. So I'm going to go through all of this and take at least a third of it with me. I have more in the garage and get a rough idea of prices, although I could also price while I'm sitting at the table, worst case scenario. So as I said, I'm kind of going to be splitting. This is all eBay boxes. These are all empty, but I'll probably fill some of these with some of this. All right, I just spent the last hour or so getting this pocket together of stuff that I know I can bring. A lot of it isn't priced. A lot of it I'll have to do on the fly or in the future, but like I've separated this out. And there's a few things like this Masterpiece Starscream that I got to go find his box and put him in it. And there's a Voltron in there that's still missing the sword, but like I know, okay, this stuff is all going. Maybe some more eventually, I don't know, but like if I had to go tomorrow, I've got this stuff. All right, it's 6:10. I am in the car in the garage. I got up at 5:38 or something like that. I packed my car last night. I packed it flat. It's full, but it's flat. The seats fold down so I could see out on my windows. I've done it times when I couldn't see out on my windows. This might mean that I did not pack enough stuff, but great. We'll do what we got to do. As I said, I'm very rusty on all of this. I do have some stuff in my passenger seat, so there's that. I have a little cooler full of stuff. I'm going to stop at Dunkin' Donuts for a cappuccino and some breakfast, and then I'm going to drive about an hour and a half to get there. Okay, so I don't know how the sound's going to be. It's not much later. I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. I haven't even sipped my coffee yet. No traffic, little overcast, also very early. Still, it was 6:30, 6:20. I forgot my sunglasses, so hopefully that won't be a problem. I was a little bit worried about time because the show starts at 10, but I have early birds coming in at 9.
So if I get there at 8, that gives me an hour to set up, which is about what it would take me normally. The toy stuff takes me longer than the art stuff. Or, well, if I was only doing the art stuff, it would take me an hour. Because in a way, the art stuff does take longer to set up, but I know what I'm doing, and there's just one way to do it. Whereas the toy stuff, it's like, where do I fit this guy? Let me look up a price on that. Usually, with a toy show, what I'll do is have a few things priced ahead of time, and then when I get there, just the first hour or so be pricing toys, because the prices change dynamically. It's not like I can price them and then come back a year later and they're still good. And what was I going to say? So, but I was worried about time because I realized, I don't know where to park and how far will I be from the table. Is it going to take me an hour to find parking and, hand truck my things in? But because I got up a little earlier, originally I planned on getting up at 6, but I just happened to wake up a little bit earlier. So between that and the fact that the traffic is so nil that my GPS is saying I'll get there sooner, even with my stop at Dunkin' Donuts, I should be getting there at 7:30. So if it takes me a half hour to find parking and get my stuff to the table, that still gives me an hour to set up. So I'm feeling good about that. Also, I found my little cooler that I wasn't sure if I still had, put an ice pack in there, and so I have a bottle of water, a bottle of Starbucks, for later in the day, and a can of diet soda, and a snack, because I probably won't be having lunch, because it's a one-day show, it's a shorter show, it's short, and I'm doing it by myself. I don't know if I'm going to know anyone there, because it's the other thing, having not done a convention in a while, and having not done a convention out here, not that I knew a million people, but most shows I might know 1 or 2 people there. I could maybe ask someone to watch my table, or I just felt a little more comfortable. Going into this, I expect to know nobody with the exception of the showrunner, who will be running the show. So I'm expecting that I won't be able to leave my table other than for like a quick bathroom break. And so I plan on having lunch, which is fine, because I'm going to have my Dunkin' Donuts now, and on the way home I'll get Taco Bell or something, so yes. That's pretty. I mean, the sky looks cool, but also the way the clouds are kind of on the mountain, it just looks like we must journey there, past the Elven Forge, through the golden goblet chalices of the Mixenor, and inside we'll see the Wizard of the Mist, who shall give us 3 tasks, 2 of which we must not do, but grasp with your heart, not with your hands! Anyway, yeah, it looks pretty. So the show is at the Pasadena Convention Center, which I get them all mixed up, the Anaheim Convention Center, etc. But I actually tabled here like 5 or 6 years ago at the first Japan World Heroes, which was also for Scott Zillmer. And so the parking is really easy. I'm able to just take my little hand truck and go right in. There was a little mix-up where they couldn't figure out what table I was at. So to solve that, they just put me in the main room in a much better, bigger spot. And so the only downside is I wish I brought more stuff because I have a lot more room than I thought. But I'm not complaining. All right, so I took 3 full hand trucks. Now I got this little one. I'm gonna bring the hand truck back so it's not sitting at my table, and I'll pick that up, and then I'll be done moving everything in. Not too bad. So it's 8 o'clock and I'm carrying in my last rack. So this is exactly where I wanted to be when I thought I was leaving 45 minutes later and it was gonna take 20 minutes longer to get here. So it's good that things worked out the way it did, because that gives me an hour to set up for real. Whereas if it went the way it could have went, I would have been scrambling to put things up as people were walking in. That being said, I was reminded that I couldn't find the front piece for this, which doesn't make it unusable, but gets rid of one of my displays. But also, there's a piece that broke off of this. So basically, this is the last show for this, is what I'm finding out, but I'm gonna make it work for this one. All right, it's 9 o'clock, so they're gonna, 1 minute to 9. So I have my art 90% set up and my toys 0% set up, but we're getting there, 11 o'clock, it's pretty busy. I just made $1 over my table cost. So at 11 o'clock, I'm now technically profitable. And I'm still pricing and putting out items. I've had about 1,000 people ask me about this big Voltron, but nobody's buying it yet. It's 1:30. I'm exhausted. I had a soda about an hour ago, but I don't know, I'm just tired. Anyway, it was pretty busy. It slowed down around lunchtime, and now it's kind of evening out. But
I did make quite a few big sales, a few art sales, but like 2 really big toy sales. So now the trip has totally been worth it financially for me. And yeah. 1:45, and I am sitting down for the first time since I've been here. So about 5 hours of standing, walking, setting things up. I still have not priced everything, and I continue to price things and put them out as things sell. But I think I've sold enough now that I'm just gonna put things out as needed. Because also there's only 3 hours left of the show.
Shortly after this, I took my first actual real walk around the show floor, and there was a lot of cool stuff. Certainly the giant robot, the super robots were well represented, and one whole room was G.I. Joe. Sorry for the crazy camera pans. Over here there was a big Exo Squad thing with lots of cool Exo Squad toys, and later on I talked to the gentleman at that table, and supposedly there's a new Exo Squad coming out. And I hope for his sake that is true, although I know you hear that kind of stuff all the time, and who knows if it's actually going to happen. One thing that happened quite a lot at this show, and this happens to me at a lot of toy shows specifically, not so much art shows, is somebody will ask about a particular item, maybe lowball me price or whatever, and they'll be like, I'll come back and look. And occasionally they come back and someone else has bought it. And a very petty part of me is always like, ha ha ha, sold you and sell. Because I think they think, oh, these are awesome. That's it. Yeah, anyway, there's lots of awesome stuff. I'm not going to point it out. You can just look or go to the show next time. But there's something very petty and satisfying to me when someone says they'll come back, not like hold it for me, but just like, oh, I'll come back later maybe, and it's gone. Or they, even better, they try to lowball me, and then they come back and I've sold it for the higher price I was asking. And that happened many, many times at this show with some of the items that like a lot of people came and looked at, and eventually somebody bought, and then they'd come back and, I don't know. It's petty of me. Anyway, this is the main room, and this is the main area. When I did Japan World Heroes, I was in this room. And this is sort of across from where I was. I'm saying it like it's a different room. It's not, but I was against the wall, and across from me was the celebrities, and behind them and to the sides of them were all these tables. And then there are 2 side rooms, one of which was G.I. Joe themed specifically, and one of which was just general merchandise like this. But again, while there was a certain amount of toys that didn't fit the specific description, there was definitely a large amount of robots and G.I. Joe and things that you would expect at a show named such. And I think... I'm trying to think of anything else to say. Walking around here. Now, see, this is interesting. There's somebody that looked like an art table just right there in the middle of everything, but they only had like 3 prints. I wasn't sure what was going on there. Like, did they just grab an empty table? Did they sell out? Were like, it was just, sometimes I see tables like that where there's like 3 things on it. I'm like, even if you sold those 3 things, it wouldn't cover your table cost. But I didn't speak to them. And this was really quick. I mostly was at my table. This was me asking my neighbor to cover for just a minute so I could take a little lap. And I was also not looking to get into a lot of conversations or do a lot of buying, so I was sort of keeping it moving. 3 o'clock, got 2 hours left. This is the final form. A couple big things sold. I wish both of those would have sold, because it'll be hard to ship if I ever do. I planned on going back and filling in some of these gaps with art, but I just never really had the chance, and art hasn't been a huge seller today anyway. I'm not thrilled with the way I did this, but I didn't have time to... Yeah, it's all, kind of last minute on the fly stuff. Looking over here, you can see all the Ranger actors left. A few other celebrities are still kicking around, but this is the early wind down, which has been helpful because I got a couple sales as like the waves of people were leaving, but I am starting to wonder at what point is it just vendors walking around looking at their own tables. So it's 3:40, something like that. And yeah, a lot of the actors, not all, have left. A couple of vendors look like they're starting to wrap up, but I've said this before, I always like staying until the end because very often there are sales right at the last minute that make it worthwhile. Plus, I feel like when people pay to be here for the show, it's like they're getting ripped off by not getting the full show potentially, or if they came late or whatever. Also, for whatever reason, the second half of the show has been slower in general, but I've made a couple big toy sales, and I've made more art sales the second half, which is cool. So it's cool to see people, a few people I saw that knew me from here. So that's awesome too. So hello if you're one of them. Well, all right, it's 4:36. I've been seeing people come out of there for a while. Everybody's starting to pack up. I will start the slow pack so that if somebody comes by, I can technically still sell to them, but I could definitely take down this art wall at least to begin with. So as much as I'm trying to have integrity and stay till the bitter end, It is 9 minutes to 5, and here's where I'm at. I took down all the art and got my pins. But in fairness, I'm still one of the last people kind of set up. All right, 5:12, and I'm pretty much ready to go. Got to go get the hand truck. I ended up getting rid of 2 or 3 boxes worth of stuff, at least partially things I got rid of and partially maybe repacking. Those 2 and another one I already threw away. So that's good. 4:21, 4:21, 5:21. Time has no meaning. I just loaded up all of the art in one trip. It's possible I'll be able to get all the toys in one trip, thus eliminating one full trip. I don't know. Let's see. All right, significantly less. Easy to pack, empty spaces. Up here, basically nothing. Up here, good. There. Well, I mean, there's literally things, but basically nothing. So, visual confirmation that I've eliminated stuff. All right, so it's like a minute before 6, so I'm already on the road in less than an hour, so that's good. My voice is a little hoarse because I missed Mr. Ed. Horse is a horse, of course, unless that horse is a talking horse. The famous Mr. Ed. Anyway, I grew up on Nick at Night, and I'm fried. Can you tell? Can you tell I'm fried? I'm thirsty, even though I brought a bottle of water and a Starbucks and a diet soda. I think part of it is that I need to drink more because I sweat a lot when I load in and load out. I don't know why I'm a sweaty boy. And I talked a lot, and I haven't been talking a lot, and I had that stupid mask on, so that doesn't help. But I'm on my way home. On the way, I'm going to stop at Sonic Drive-In because I like Sonic, and it's about 20 minutes down the road, so it should get me out of like downtown stuff. And I'm just going to sit down and eat a bunch of food that's not good for me and some sugar, so I'll be powered up to get home. Now, it is still light out, which is nice, so I don't have to drive in the dark necessarily. But it's overcast and rainy, which is also nice because it's kind of, I feel hot and muggy and sweaty, so that's good. But also, I think I said this earlier, I forgot my sunglasses, so don't have to worry about that. The show went well. I don't know how much money I made, but I made money. I wonder if I just counted my art sales, if I would have, I think I would have covered table, but I don't know how much profit I would have made. But definitely with toy sales, did well. But that's not, I don't normally do toy sales, so it's hard to quantify that. So would I do the show again if I was just doing art? Probably not this show. I don't mind the venue. I like doing Scott's shows that Scott Zillner does. But I don't know that I'd do ROBO Toy Fest if I didn't have toys to sell. That being said, if I did, it worked out well. Now, the people near me similarly said they had a good show, or at least a decent show, but I heard some people rumbling that they didn't have a good show, and they seemed to maybe be the people that were in the side rooms. So I don't know if I got lucky by not being in a side room and that made all the difference in the world, or if I just had things that were more sellable, or maybe a little bit of both. I did get an awesome encounter with a ranger actor. There were several ranger actors in front of me. Normally, I would give them art, talk to them, maybe see if they wanted to do an interview, feel them out a little bit to see how interested they'd be involved in an Action Activate show. But since I was manning the booth alone, since it was a one-day show and I really needed to get rid of some stuff, since I was wearing a mask, that kind of impedes, like, hey, let's have an interview, I kind of just let it be. But Hunter, I was calling her Hunter Deno, which then she pronounced her name, it's like Dino, Hunter Dino. I apologize for getting that probably wrong. Who plays Dino Fury Pink, now Cosmic Fury Red, was there, and she came over and looked at the booth next to me and bought some, and then she came over later, saw the Dino Fury Red headshot I had of her, was excited. I said, take one for your parents, and then she wanted to buy them. I said, no, how about a shout out? Then she gave me a lovely shout out.
Hey guys, I am Hunter Dino. I am your Dino Fury Pink Ranger and the new Cosmic Fury Red Ranger. I just met Gaz here because look at this, right? But I just heard about his YouTube channel, Action Activate. You guys should go check it out because he's amazing.
So that was awesome. And I saw Scott, and I saw a guy I kind of know, and I saw a few people that know me from this. So it wasn't as much of a loner show as it was a loner show because I was by myself, but there was a little bit of connection there, more than I thought there was going to be in terms of social stuff. And I sold more art than I thought I would, and I guess that's it for now. Pulled over. Sonic's there, but there's a Target there, and there are new Ninja Turtle figures that have
come out. Maybe they weren't supposed to come out yet, but they're out and people are finding them. I haven't found them yet. I just made a bunch of money selling toys, including one set of Ninja Turtle figures. So before I go eat, I'm gonna go feed my turtle soul, maybe. Well, no luck. They didn't even seem to have an indication that they've been restocked anytime recently. It was pretty weak. Thought about asking somebody to check the back for me because a lot of people are saying that's how they got them, but I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm just gonna go eat. So here I am at Sonic, struck out at Target, but never strike out at Sonic. I didn't want to sit in my car because I don't know, I was gonna say I've been cooped up in my car, but that's not true. I've been cooped up in the convention center. I wanted to be outside. I'm outside, and I've been enjoying the June we've been having in California, which is largely overcast and some people call chilly, but from the East Coast, I'm just dreading the summer that is coming. But anyway, I got myself some food and I'm gonna sit here. One thing I wanted to mention about the show is terrible reception on the phone and no Wi-Fi. So that's a little bit of a bummer. It was mostly okay. It was, text messages would go through, but they'd be delayed or take a while. I was looking at prices on eBay to price some of my things, and sometimes it would go through immediately. Sometimes I have to wait 5 minutes. So that's my own fault for not looking stuff up. But just if you're expecting connectivity, you might not have it. I had a bunch of giveaway flyers for a show that my friend is putting on that I'm going to be at, and I gave them out to people that were getting Ultraman or Godzilla things I thought would want them, and I hung some up on my booth, but I was hoping there'd be like a giveaway table of some sort, and when I asked at the check-in table, they were like, oh, maybe at Scott's table, but I didn't see Scott, and I think they meant, like, he usually has a booth where things are being sold on his behalf, and I didn't think they meant that, so I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to spend time looking forever because I just didn't see it. So I'm going to just pack them in with orders I have that are in the area for Godzilla or Ultraman things on my Etsy store, and maybe I'll put some up at the local comic store or whatever, so I'll spread them around, but yeah, I only got to give out a handful at this show, which is a little disappointing, which has nothing to do with the show, just the people who wanted me to hand them out assumed I'd be able to like put a stack of them somewhere, I think, and that wasn't really this kind of show. Yeah, this has been a weird show because I keep saying it's the first show I've done in like years, and it's kind of true. It's the first show I've done in about 2 years for sure. But within the last 4 years, let's say, give or take, I've done 1 or 2 shows, which actually were up in San Francisco for Godzilla Fest, which is the show I was advertising, that or Ultraman Fest, whatever. I'm rambling a lot. I only half wanted to make this video, and I wasn't sure I was going to do it, but I had a few people today mention they knew me from my videos, so it made me feel like I should make it. For those curious, as I would be, small grape slush with nerds. I meant to get a medium. Small onion rings? Maybe it's medium, I don't even know. Pretzel twist, which usually is fantastic. I don't know if it will be or not. And medium mozzarella sticks. The only sauce I got was the cheese sauce. Oh, and a peppermint for my kissing of people later. Anyway, this is my Sonic. Almost every time I get this. I keep giving myself brain freeze. This is like the 3rd or 4th time. It's starting to go away. I've twice now done the extra stupid thing of like, ooh, I'm getting brain freeze. Oh. And then you get that super brain freeze that doesn't go away forever. So, not a smart person. It's Monday, and it's Monday evening. I have had dinner. That's how evening it is. I have Godzilla with a lay, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I have not unloaded my car since the show, which I figured, whatever, take it easy today. Maybe a day or 2 goes by before I unload it. Fine. But I've remembered I have several Etsy sales. So the good, bad problem I have is that these people want the art that they've paid me for. Fair enough. Yet, it resides in my car, and it's behind all the other stuff I brought with me, so there's no way to get to it without unloading my car. And I don't want to do that, but that's where we're at now. All right, well, I kind of half-assed it. I had to take out some of the non-art stuff to be able to move it, and I brought these inside, but I'm probably just going to pick the prints I need and worry about reintegrating them into my office upstairs on another day. So as it turns out, cheaters never win, because it is Tuesday morning, and I was getting the stuff ready to go last night, the prints for the Etsy, and I had no packing tape. So I kind of got them all ready and couldn't tape the labels on. And somewhere in these boxes is my packing tape that I brought to the show with me, and I didn't have any at home. So good, now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing this. So a bit of good news. Before the show, there was a sale on Best Buy for Ultraman stuff. I'd previously gotten Ultra Q, Ultraman, and Ultra 7 in these steel books. And I don't collect a lot of physical media anymore, but with certain things that are obscure, it makes sense to me, and they look nice on the shelf. So these were about $12 each, and I got Ultraman Taro and Ace, and Return of Ultraman, aka Ultraman Jack. After I ordered it, I realized that these were the steel books, and this one was not. But you're saying that looks like a steel book, and indeed it is. It was listed as a non-steel book, but it was. So here's the other thing. To take credit cards, there's different ways to take credit cards. I generally use Square. That's what I used from a million years ago, and I'm a creature of habit, so I never changed it. There's literally a little Square swipey thing that I no longer have. I don't know if I lost it, forgot it. I'm not even sure if it's still the one they use. I know they upgraded at some point to like a triangle-y one that could take chips, but then it costs money to get that, blah, 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 blah. I still have the Square account, and it goes to my PayPal or it goes to my checking account. So I was able to take credit cards, but manual entry, which takes longer, you could make a mistake, and they take a bigger percentage, so you don't want to do that. So I made that mistake, so I didn't decline any sales, and I certainly, a sale where I lose a percentage and it takes a while is better than none. I'm doing laundry, by the way, is better, but that was a mistake. Also, there was another mistake I made. Prints. This one I more knew, whereas the credit card thing kind of was like, oops, I forgot to do this, and now I'm paying the price. The prints, I knew I was doing it wrong, but I kind of just powered through and promised myself I'd do better next time. Too many. I originally was like, I'm going to bring 10 of each, no more, because I never said sell more than 10. But like 10 is a lot to sell in a one-day show. Let's sell a 3-day show. I should have just taken like 1 or 2 of most of my prints, and then maybe like 5 of the ones that I thought would sell better. The difficulty is you never know what's going to sell better, but I knew I wasn't going to be selling certain prints. I knew I wasn't going to be going to deep dive Power Ranger stuff. Well, I assumed that. I don't know. Here's the thing. Some people print on demand or do a couple prints for a show. I have a big backlog because I have an Etsy store and I use cat print and I get a minimum of 10 of every print I do, usually. So then I'm like, oh, I have all this stuff and everything. What I need to do, I have it all organized, or I'm getting it back organized after the show. And I need to maybe just start ahead of it, having a separate thing, having nothing to do with my Etsy inventory, having show inventory, just a separate box on the same shelf, not taking up any more room, but just reallocating so that I have like 1 or 2 of all of my prints, and then like 5 or 10 of the ones I think I'm going to sell well. And then when it's time to do a show, I just take that and replenish as needed. This is me thinking of this right now. But however I do it, I'm bringing too many prints. Don't bring too many prints. I understand the worry is like, what if I sell those 5 prints and I could have sold more? And that is the fear/worry I've had for years. And after doing a ton of shows, that fear/worry has only manifested itself one time. At the busiest show I ever did, it was a San Francisco Comic-Con, like the first one they did. I went the next year, wasn't nearly as good, but that year, especially at the time, I made the most amount of money I'd ever made in a show. I couldn't keep up with the sales, and I had, from Turtles, I had a Rocksteady and Bebop, 2 prints, and I had between 5 and 10 of them each, I can't remember what. And I sold out, or very nearly sold out, on Friday or Saturday, and I made reprints to have, like, I just went to a FedEx. So if you're really worried about it, have the files with you and find out where the nearest printer is that could get it done. But even then, it was like, oh, I sold a few more the next day. So if I didn't do that, I would have lost, 3 sales maybe, which on a slow show, 1-day show could be a lot, but on a busy 3-day show is not a lot. And you're not gonna sell out unless it's a busy show. So it's a lesson I keep telling myself, but like, you're not gonna run out of stuff. This isn't gonna be a mad rush on some random print that you did 2 years ago. It's just not gonna happen. The things that sell well, bring a few extra, and you know what they are if you've done any amount of shows. If you haven't done any amount of shows, okay, then bring 5 of each or whatever, But if you haven't done many shows, you probably have a smaller base inventory and selection to begin with, so it's a little easier. Once you've got like 50, 100 prints, even bringing 1 of each is a lot. So you never stop learning, or at least I never stop learning.
All right, so let's look at the numbers. This is about a week later, and the total. Okay, I'm going to give you numbers. Transparency. The total amount of money I took home that I didn't go there with, and this number will change as far as profit, was $1,391. That is all the money I came home with that I didn't go there with. Now I'm going to break that down. Most of it was toy sales. So as far as my art, not too much. $181 was art. The rest was toy sales. Now, of that toy sales, not that this matters, but 225 were not my toys. I brought toys from my wife, and those were sold. 985 were my toys. So the toys, theoretically, like if I was a reseller, if this was my business, I would say, okay, well, I bought this for $5 and I sold it for $10. So that's $5 profit, not $10 profit. However, that's not what I do. I buy this, it goes on my shelf for a while, and then years later, I'm like, I'm going to sell it. And I sell it for whatever it's going for at that time. So that money is long gone. So it sort of feels like profit, even though if you go back in time, it's not. But, it wasn't from this fiscal year. So that being said, if I went to sell toys as a reseller, this is not good advice for a reseller. But if you're just trying to unload your collection or part of your collection, certainly I made money. There was a good mix of people that had like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to spend and only had a couple bucks, because I sold pieces that were over $100, and I sold pieces that were like $5, $3, $10, $20. So I would say it's good to have both if you're worrying about toys. Similarly with art, you want to have $20 prints, you want to have $5 prints or $10 prints or $1 buttons or whatever. So you have a diversity for different people's budgets. Now, as far as cost, I bought an $80 table, which was an inline exhibitor table. So that's why I was putting toys out, although the general vibe I get from most shows is if you buy an artist table, you sell art only. If you buy an exhibitor table, you can put whatever you want. So I had planned on getting an artist table, which was only a little bit cheaper. Usually there's a bigger gap between an artist table and an exhibitor table. Like, I'm making up numbers here, but like normally an artist table would be like $75 and an exhibitor table like $200. Like, it's usually very noticeable. But my recollection was that an artist table was like $75 or $70 or something, and they were sold out. So I got an exhibitor table, which was $80. Oh, look, I have the numbers right here. Look at me being prepared. La, 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 la. So an inline side room table, which is what I paid for, is $80. An artist inline main hall table was $70. So $10 cheaper, arguably better location being in the main hall, although that's debatable. Inline main hall table for an exhibitor, $100. If you wanted a wall table in the main room, $160. So it ranged from $70 to $160. That's a pretty close gap. You know what I mean? You could kind of get whatever you want. And so if I had, I believe the table I got, because there was a mix-up, and Scott takes care of people. Scott Zillner, who runs the show. I've had nothing but good experiences with any show I've done with him, so I recommend that. There was a mix-up with my table, and so I got what I believe was a wall main room table, which would have cost me $160. So if I paid $160, it still would have been worth it, even with that. With the caveat of, well, I guess if I was in the main room and had an artist table, it would have been $70 or $160, depending on if I went for that big one or not. I made $181 on my art. So if I didn't bring any toys to sell, I would have basically broke even, because with the table, parking was $15. It was a one-day show, so it was one day of parking. Figuring in gas, what I figured was, for me, it was 65 miles round trip, about $20-ish for the gas. So gas and parking, $35. I bought breakfast and dinner. You don't have to do that. I did pack snacks, I packed snacks, but I didn't eat them. And I packed drinks for myself. But I did buy Dunkin' Donuts to eat on the way down, and I stopped and got Sonic on the way back. So I didn't write down those costs, but figure that's at least $20, another $20, let's say. So that's like money. The point is, if I was selling just art, I basically would have broken even, maybe lost a few bucks or made a few bucks. However, that's misleading, because I was only using a portion of my table for art. And if I was selling only art, I would have used the whole table. I would have brought more books. I would have been displaying more prints. I would have been pushing the art more. And I wasn't really pushing the art too much, because I was mainly there, not mainly, but I knew the toys were going to be the draw. If I went again next year, which I might, I would go again in terms of how well I did. It would be more about my schedule, and it's hard for me to know what I'm doing a year out nowadays. I would probably split it a little bit more 50-50. I would still bring some toys So I guess I wouldn't get an artist table. I probably would get an inline main hall table for $100 is probably what I would get. And I'd make it half toys and half art. Whereas this time it was more like 2/3 or 3/4 toys, except for I had the art backdrop. I don't know. This is all hypothetical for next year. But the point is, if I had more art, let's say if I was only art, I believe I would have made more than $181. I think realistically, maybe I'd make $400, like safely. I could bet on that, which means I would have made about $200 profit, which isn't amazing, but for a day's work. And what I always say when I'm selling art, it's less of, yes, I want to make money. I don't want to waste my time and waste my effort and waste my day off and everything, but it's more about making connections with people that like the art, getting my name out there, all that kind of stuff. So I think it is possible to make money just selling art at this show, but I do think it's more of a toy-centric show. That being said, the toys I sold, I definitely did better with Voltron, Robotech, things like that, vintage toys, 80s vintage toys. What I did not do so well with was Marvel stuff. Nobody was really super interested in my Marvel stuff. Star Wars also. I did make a big Star Wars sale where I sold a lightsaber and a set of Mandalorian figures and something else, but it was to one person who was like, I want all this Star Wars stuff. So I don't think Star Wars stuff sells well at this show. Maybe if you had, like, again, vintage 70s, 80s stuff, maybe. I think I just got lucky with somebody who wanted that. So I think if you are bringing toys, yeah, that would be, or G.I. Joe. I didn't have much G.I. Joe, but like the theme of the show, the people are coming for that theme. But yeah, I did pretty well with that. Let me see, anything else? I'm on the fence about doing Japan World Heroes, which is coming up. I did it years ago and didn't do that well, but now it's a local show for me, and I tend to do better at shows because more time has passed, and I know what I'm doing a little bit more, and I have hopefully better artwork. But my experience was that people weren't terribly interested in the artwork, which is similar to this show. So maybe I would again get some sort of exhibitor table and then have my art, but also bring like some Ultraman figures I'm getting rid of. Again, like I aim for Sentai, Ultraman, Kaiju stuff, things that would fit in line with the Japan World Heroes theme. But for me, it's the fact that it's a 3-day show. It starts to be difficult for me now with a kid, because that means I'm away from home for 3 full days, which is a lot harder than 1 day. So yeah, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it. I was exhausted by the end. But I would recommend I would recommend it. I see no reason not to do the show if you're thinking about doing it. And it seemed like the people that came had a good time as well. So 2 thumbs up to Japan World. 2 thumbs up to Robo Toy Fest and Japan World Heroes. Let's see. One other thing. I also met, and I'm blanking on his name, I forget, but I didn't know this, but the gentleman who did the voice of Dial Tone on the 80s G.I. Joe cartoon. And he came over, and he's an older gentleman, and he was asking if I had any figures or merchandise of Dial Tone, and I'm like, from G.I. Joe? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh no, sorry, I don't. And there was a room. After this, I was like, oh, I hope he found something, because there was like the one room was like the G.I. Joe room. Everything in there was G.I. Joe. I'm sure somebody had a Dial Tone figure, but I didn't. And I said to him, I'm like, no, I have one at home, which I do. I have a vintage Dial Tone somewhere in my collection, and I think I maybe even have an anniversary edition. Doesn't matter. Point is, I was like, I like the character Dial Tone, so I'm glad I said that, because then he's like, I was Dial Tone, I did the voice. I'm like, and as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, I could hear it. Like, he had a big, that accent, like, I'm like, yeah, sorry, I don't. He's like, I don't have a figure. I've been trying to find a figure. And he kind of wandered off before I could like help him or discuss it further. So, but it made me feel like, I hope, it made me sad, but I'm not sure if I should be sad, because I'm like, does he think that he went to this G.I. Joe show and nobody cares about Dial Tone or whatever? But like, there's a whole room of people. You just talked to the wrong guy. I'm an artist guy that brought some of my extra toys, but I did say I like Dial Tone. I know Dial Tone. I have a figure of Dial Tone at home, and if it was there with me, I would have handed it to the gentleman. But anyway, the other interaction I had, I'm carrying this. Interestingly, I got hit. This is somebody was there with their wife, and they were selling art, having seen my Japan World Heroes video. So like, they kind of knew who I was, which was cool. And I'm trying to get this. This is them, and I followed them on Facebook, and now I'm looking. It's like QI. Okay, if you're watching, this is cute but unreadable. I don't know what this says. I know I followed you. I'm looking on the back. Oh, XIAOBBINK. Or you could scan the QR code here. There. Freeze frame and scan that. That'll probably work better. Oh, so it is X. So that's an X. Yeah. I'm bad at deciphering designs of letters. Anyway, they were very. Oops. There you go. They were very cool, and they gave me some stickers. I got a Ken from Street Fighter, who's actually my favorite Street Fighter character. Got a Slime from Dragon Warrior. the ones I like best though are Ultraman and Kamen Rider. I believe this one's the original Kamen Rider, and this is like the first where they like not the Shin. Is it Shin? I'm not sure. This is either Shin or the first. Blah, 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 blah. But they're very cool. And then this character, who I didn't recognize, I thought maybe it was from the new Adventure Time show because I haven't really watched the new one that much. But it's from a video game. I don't know, but they're very cool. I'm probably going to give these to my daughter. She loves stickers. I'm probably going to give these to my daughter. I'm going to keep these for myself, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I might stick them on. Well, they're all going to get stuck on something, but yeah. So also gave me this print of Hello Kitty as a Gundam, which I'll probably also give to my daughter because she likes robots and cats. So there you go. So thank you for those. Check them out on Instagram. Give them a follow. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This was a bit of a haphazard video. I'm out of practice doing con videos. I'm out of practice doing cons. But I have Ultra Fest coming up in like a month or so in San Francisco. Maybe I'll do another video. If you're interested, let me know below. Okay, bye. Testing. Am I recording? Hello? Maybe next time have the woman a little respect. Da da dun 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 dun. Is it here? Or here? And you're never gonna get it. Light bright, light bright. Turn on the magic of shining light. And then I'll just sort of like, what if I had it here? Is this a good? Is this a good?
No, one take only. I'm like Clint Eastwood. One take only.
I've done it before.